God loves you. In the earlier part of my adult life, I'd say mostly through my 20s, I worked a lot with teens. I worked at adolescent psychiatric facilities, did a lot of volunteer work with youth, churches, theater, that kind of stuff. And one summer, while I was in graduate school, I was attending a church, relatively small church, but a pretty decent sized youth group, I'd say. I don't know, 20, 30 kids. I was a Sunday school teacher for, but to be honest with you, I don't even remember. Maybe it was 7th and 8th grade students. Maybe it was 9th and 10th grade. But it had to be 9th and 10th grade, because this was a high school retreat that they decided to go on in the summer. Something they had done yearly for, a long time. And it was my first year at the church. I was teaching this class, and they asked me, did I want to go and be a sponsor / counselor / whatever. Basically an adult, a supervising adult, even though I was only in my 20s. But so I said, sure, went. And they had a lot of activities for these kids at this particular camp. They had a ropes course, they had archery, they had all kinds of sports stuff they could do. It was on a lake, of course, they could go swimming. But one of the things I remember most clearly is they had sailboats, specifically catamarans, for the kids to sail out on the lake. They didn't want them going out without an adult. They were small catamarans, only 1 or 2 people. But I had been, my dad got a sailboat when I was a kid, and so our family did a lot of sailing. A lot. There's some more stories right there. At any rate, I said, yeah, I want to go and work with this sailing some. And when the camp staff person that was in charge of the sailing was giving us instructions, he told us what to do if we were out on the lake and the boat flipped. He said, don't panic. Not that I would have. Not only did I know how to sail, I also, was a Red Cross certified senior, whatever it's called, senior life-saving, whatever that certification is that you've got to have if you want to be a lifeguard somewhere. So he said, he gave us instructions on how to get the boat turned back over. And so I thought, well, that might be fun. I think I'd enjoy that. But then the kids that were coming to go sailing that day showed up, and I got paired off with one of them. And he was kind of a timid kid, good guy, good kid. But we went out on the lake, and we didn't go out too far, a little bit away from the shore and away from the other boats. I didn't want any of the other boats around. And I asked him, I said, do you want to try flipping this thing? And I think he was scared of the water in the first place, let alone being in a boat that turns over. He said, no, I don't want to do that. I said, no, don't worry. I said, you're safe with me. So we went out sailing, and he was kind of enjoying it, starting to relax. And like I said, when we got a little ways off from the shore and away from the other boats, I thought, well, now's the right time. So I turned the boat so that the wind was coming straight at the sails, grabbed the sheets. Those are the ropes that let you pull the sail and let it out and that kind of thing. Pulled them in tight so it would catch the sail full. Got on that side of the boat, and sure enough, that catamaran just turned right over. First item of business for me was making sure he didn't panic. So I told him, no worries, stay calm, we're good. I said, you're above water, right? He said, yeah. So I said, well, let's get this thing turned over. And so I told him what we needed to do. I said, first thing we want to try to move the boat around so that when we pull it back up, it's facing into the wind, so the wind doesn't catch the sails and either keep us from pulling the sailboat up, or when we pull it up, it catches the sails again and flips it back over on top of us. So we get it turned. I said, okay, now we need to each grab a sheet, but we need to stand up on this pontoon that's on the bottom. Stand up, reach over and grab one of the sheets holding the sails, and then start leaning back. And so we started doing that, and that catamaran came slowly right back up out of the water, sat up straight. We calmly got back on the boat, on the catamaran, and started sailing again. And I acted like nothing had happened. Well, about 10 minutes later, he looks over at me and says, you want to flip it again? I just laughed. And I think, to be honest with you, because our time, and we were only given like a half hour to be out on the boat, out on the catamarans, I think our half hour was just about up, and the other ones had gone in. And I thought better of it. I said, no, not this time. I said, he's already called us in. Let's get this back to the dock, and if we go out again, we'll give it another try. I didn't go out again that week, and certainly not with him. But the lesson I learned was two things, or the lesson I wanted him to learn was two things. One is, if someone is given charge over you because they have more experience, they've been there before, they know what to do, and you're new, defer to them. Watch them, learn from them, get as much as you can from them. Trust them. The other thing is, if you're going to learn something new, sometimes you got to take risks. You got to do things that are scary. You've got to step out where you would not otherwise. In fact, sometimes to enjoy life means taking a risk. I don't mean a risk that would endanger your life, by no means, but even still, with all the life I've lived, I'm learning all the time that in order to take steps forward in life, sometimes you got to take risks that are uncomfortable and maybe even scary. I'll see you next time.